Hey, I'm Evan from RaceTech Electric. I'm going to show you how to do a stator and a regulator swap on a 08 and up KLR650. So I'm here with Ray and Miguel Mendez. This is Miguel's bike, a 2012 KLR.
You do need to remove the tank, and to do so you have to pull both side covers and the seat, and then you can pop the tank off. You also will have to pull the radiator shrouds, or the shroud covers on both sides, as well as your crash guards if you got them, or whatever you need to get the shrouds off. So you have to do that to get to the stator. The stator connector and the regulator as well is mounted up under the right side in front of the tank. So yeah, we're gonna get started on that. I'm gonna pull the side covers and the seat and shrouds and the tank first. So I'm not going to show detail of doing that. If you're going to do this, you probably know how to pull that stuff off. And then we'll jump back in once all the body work is off, and I can show you where the components are. Okay, so now that we have all the body work removed, the tank, the shrouds, the seat, the side covers, we can do the disconnect the electrical connections we need to do up front. Your stator connection on this bike, which is this guy, you've got a single connector with 3 wires in it. So you need to disconnect that and kind of free up your wiring so you can easily undo where it's routed. You might need to cut some zip ties, and we'll go ahead and pull that loose. The wire runs down through the side here. And once I remove the case and the chain guard, I'll show you how that comes out. And then you also want to remove, if you're going to do the regulator, it's mounted right here. You have 2 10mm bolts, that's it, and a single plug down here. So you can just, it's easier to pull these first, pop the regulator off, and then undo your connection. That's all we got under the tank here, so I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this guy, and then I'm going to free up the wiring here so I have it loose hanging from the side cover. You do need to also disconnect the plug for the your pulsar coil or timing coil, and your neutral switch is in the same connector. That is a 3-pin kind of triangular plug. It's routed up the same way that your stator connector was, and it's on a little tab here in the triangle of the frame. So you can see the other end right there. So make sure you disconnect that along with the stator plug, and unroute that wire so you have it hanging loose as well. The other thing you need to disconnect is right here. I said neutral. It's either neutral or oil pressure. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure which one it is. But you need to disconnect that. It's a little bullet tab, basically, with a bullet connector on it. So make sure you pop that out so it comes off easily. Once you have that done, you'll have 2 separate harnesses that hang loose, and that's what you need to come off with the stator housing. It is ideal to have the bike tilted over to the right side, at least you know, maybe 45 degrees would be fine. So definitely something to think about. You can do it standing up if you need to. It's not the end of the world as long as you have oil to replace it with. But if you could tilt the bike over to the right side a little bit, you'll minimize this this kind of leaking. So anyways, now that we got that done, you can just pop the stator assembly off. Make sure you watch as you pull it off and see which side the gasket is coming. You know, it'll either stick to the motor side or the case side, and then if it's one or the other, use your finger and kind of run it along the edge so you get the gasket staying to one side or the other. So that way you can reuse the gasket. As long as it's in nice shape, there's no problem reusing it. You might want to use some gasket sealer on it to make sure it makes a really good seal and doesn't leak. But this is the original gasket. This cover's never been off before, and it's still in nice shape. So we're going to reuse that with some gasket sealer. Also, when you pull this off, you'll get your starter clutch gears that might slip off a little bit as you pop the cover off, and that's fine. They really only go back together one way, so it shouldn't be too difficult to figure out how the gears mesh and line up. Just if they pop off, just put them back in place. Make sure you get the little washer back in place as well. And so now that's off. We're gonna put the stator cover on the bench, and we'll show you how to swap the stator out. Okay, so we have the stator cover out on the bench. Now, the one thing I should say, the gasket, like I said, be careful taking it off so you don't tear the gasket. It's better to leave the gasket on the motor side if you can, or to remove it completely, because you have to pull the your wiring harness out, the grommets out of the case here, and if you left the gasket on the case side, you would tear it. So it's much better to leave the gasket on the motor side or remove it completely. So All you need to remove is your 3 mounting bolts for the stator, which are all Allen heads, and they are, looks like 5mm Allens. So you can crack those loose and remove them. And then you need to pull this Phillips head right here for your wire clamp. So now that you have that out, you can pop the clamp out of the way. Your pulser coil that I talked about earlier is a separate piece. It's not part of the wiring harness for the stator. So you can leave the pulser coil in place. And then you just need to pop the grommets out for the pulser coil, move that out of the way, remove your grommets for the stator, and you can pop the stator right out of the housing. So note which way it was installed. Obviously the wires go down, so they're away from the flywheel, and they route through the little your little kind of groove down here, so it clears. And get your stator out of the way. Now we're going to grab our new stator, which will install just the same way the old one came out. There's a little groove here for the wire clamp on the stator, so you want to make sure that that goes in place so there's no interference. And you drop it right into place, line up your mounting holes, and get your grommets in place. You might have to kind of move them around a little bit so they line up correctly. Once you drop those into place, and make sure you use red Loctite on all the mounting hardware. You don't ever want these to come loose. Once a mounting bolt comes out and gets jammed in the flywheel, you've lost a stator and probably destroyed your flywheel. And you're going to put your grommets back in place. You're going to put your pulser coil grommets back in place. You're going to reinstall your wire clamp. Make sure you Loctite that Phillips head bolt as well. And after that, you're ready to put the case back on. Use some gasket sealer so there's no leaks. And I'm not going to show the reinstallation. It's just the reverse of what we did to take everything apart, so there's no real need to show that in detail. Installing the regulator, like we talked about, is just it's a plug and play affair, so you just plug it back in and tighten your bolts back up. Good idea to use Loctite on that stuff as well. The KLRs are really well known for bolts rattling loose, so it's a good idea to Loctite everything on there. And that's about it. Then you've got your new charging system installed, and this is a 300 watt stator, so you can run, you know, lots of accessories, heated grips, extra lights, whatever you'd like. Yeah, and if you have any questions or need more info, check out www.racetech-electric.com, and you can give us a call at 760-476-3514. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.